Hello there, everyone. This is Peter Palmiotti of Human Art Studios, and this is Making Comics on Art episode, what is it, 266? Um, yeah, I'm back to working on designated. Of course, I didn't check my tools beforehand, so I guess I'll just do some brushwork, quill work. I was going to do the borders, but I got to clean my repeater. And I'm here with Claire Gray. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here and to introduce myself. I'm a webcomic creator that specifically does webcomics on social media. And it's like started out as something I was doing to entertain friends, and it's kind of been growing into a success because I've been able to support myself full time as a comic creator.
That's awesome. It's funny. Before I started doing this for a living, I had a regular day job, and at one point I had a day job and an evening job. And the evening job was it's at a law firm, um, where I was doing scanning and faxing large documents. And it was a small group of us. It was maybe 6 or 7 people working there, guys and girls and whatnot. Um, and because most of the time we were there, it was a lot of downtime.
Oh,
Us
yeah.
just twiddling our thumbs. And I started doing a comic strip. So before I started doing, working on comics officially, I was doing that beforehand.
Oh, yeah. That's how you like. It's a thing that we just start up one day and it becomes bigger than we ever expect.
Yeah.
And I think it's especially cool being an indie creator because of the fact of the creative freedom in indie comics. I like to have a lot of control over the kind of comics I make, and that's why I went indie.
So, for those that don't know you, where can people find you online? I guess.
They can they My Twitter handle is Claire V Gray, CLAIREVGRAY, and that's where you can follow my comics. And it's a lot of uh, it's like basically Sims inspired comics because I play The Sims and create stories about it. And so I also have this like mental wellness journey comic I do because I am neurodivergent. And so it's about the stuff I learned about overcoming severe depression uh, and my sexual identity because I am non-binary, pan-romantic, polycreative, asexual, and polycreative is a term I came up with to describe my identity because of the fact that I turn feelings of affection into artwork, and I have multiple muses I feel affectionate towards, and I do that by sketching their portraits, and that's kind of how I end up as a comic creator because I sketch portraits every day, and when you do that sequentially, voila, you got comics.
Yep, yeah, yeah. I've seen a lot of your work, and I noticed definitely doing a lot of portraits. I mean, that's a skill. That's get people's likenesses and all that.
I'm glad you called it skill because a lot of people tell me I'm talented, but I feel like I worked on developing my skill and got to where I am because of it.
All art is a skill. I mean, it's not everybody can do this, or not everybody is born with it.
Yeah, you're not born like an expert in art. You have to learn, and that's how I did it.
Yeah, it's like I always say that everybody is an artist to a certain degree. Like as kids, we all are taught to play with paper and pencils or crayons or paints. But it's really those that stick with it, or and have a passion for it, that become artists.
Oh, definitely. I totally agree.
Yeah.
It's that never give up attitude artists seem to have.
Yeah. And it's like art is not an easy career. Just I associate it with like being an actor. Like there's great actors that we know and love, but there's everybody else that are struggling just to get any work or get seen, get a good gig.
I think it's perseverance and a whole lot of willpower that helps you. Like there's always this aspect of finding work as an artist. You have to deal with rejection. You have to know how to deal with rejection, because the more you can deal with that kind of thing, the more likely you're going to end up finding someone that wants to hire you, if you don't give up based on rejection, because it's going to happen and it's something you have to get used to. But if you keep trying, eventually stuff will happen.
Yeah, for sure. It's like it's a little different nowadays, where like what I'm doing is I still work for other people. This project is for a friend of mine that we're doing together. Um, but I'm starting to create a lot more of my own projects, and I see that especially with younger artists, like they're just doing their own thing. They're just creating their own books, and it's not necessarily like, oh, to get into comics you have to work for Marvel or DC or Image or whatever. Um, if you got a story or an idea, you could just do it yourself and put it out there, like yourself. It's like,
Yeah, it's basically what I did, and that's like it's been interesting, because connecting to the comics community on Twitter helped me realize how long I've been succeeding, when I always kind of doubted that about myself. It's like it's really been eye-opening getting feedback from other artists, because they can basically, when you're in your process and you're doing your work, you don't always see what you're doing clearly until you speak to outside sources that are paying attention to what you're doing and can like spell it out straight to you.
yeah. And there's a definitely a good community of artists on Twitter. It's like I find myself, I'm mostly posting and sharing, and it's like work keeps me busy enough. But occasionally I'll talk to people and chat with people, and eventually have them on here, uh,
Yeah.
where I can actually talk to them. But yeah, there's a whole community of people that are willing to share their journeys and their like you were saying, techniques and ways they do things, and everything sort of helps. you know Learning other people's experiences and shortcuts. I mean shortcuts in the way of not cheating, but just
Oh
like,
yeah. Techniques just make uh I feel like art techniques just make people be able to go beyond human capacity in art by learning techniques from other masters. And I don't consider it cheating. It's just learning how to do something,
yeah.
and that is passed down from artist to artist.
Yeah, and there's so many ways to do this. Like, there's no correct way. It's whatever you're comfortable with, whatever inspires you.
Exactly.
I'm mostly a traditional artist, but I'm open to things, and like finding ways to improve, and like I wasn't a couple of years ago, but now I'm interested in coloring my own work. I mentioned just before the show, like I got an iPad and Procreate.
Yeah, Procreate's really awesome for coloring. That's how I got into coloring. So I'm
Yeah.
sure you'll like really enjoy it because it's addictive because it feels cool when you're drawing on a screen, and it's just I have a friend, a caricature artist that I learned a bit about coloring from because I was not an expert on coloring until I started like watching my friend Alani Jay's videos on how he colors his caricatures. And
Right.
so, and also I usually learn uh, to draw and improve my art through, I learned largely through experimentation and just kind of testing the waters on stuff I want to do and then putting the practice in to get good at it. So that's how I learned to make mods. That's how I learned to become a computer expert, and that's how I learned to do a lot of my art. Aside from the classes I took, is just a lot of experimentation and practice.
Right. Yeah, like I put a lot of your work on the YouTube cover, but I
Yes, and
didn't.
it's so cool.
I didn't add any of your sim art, but that's also something you do.
Oh, you did do one piece, the one where the werewolf makeout drawing was Sims.
Oh, okay. There
Yeah.
you go. Yeah,
And,
I picked out a bunch of pieces I liked. So.
well, I'm glad you enjoy my work because it's really good to hear that kind of feedback.
Yeah.
It feels great to
Yeah.
hear positive feedback in general.
Yeah. For sure.
And
I also put a picture of your cat because I like cats.
oh yeah, cats are where it's at. And anyway, I was wondering about. I was gonna ask you a question.
Sure. Yeah.
Do you find doing a lot of detail sketching soothing?
Absolutely. It's like I love detail. I love getting nitty gritty and just going all out. Um, because it is soothing. It is something that I just get lost in. Um,
To me,
and,
it feels like a kind of physical, uh, graceful meditation in a way. Like when I sketch, I get in the zone. I don't worry about anything. I'm just enjoying feeling my handiwork and sketching out, especially like I love sketching lines. I find that very soothing and helps me focus. And so I just want to spend day and night doing that and nothing else because it feels so good.
yeah, yeah. It's like I used to be a much bigger reader of books and comics and everything. Like now, it's like I probably have too much going on, and my mind is like too
That's
over
highly
overflowing.
relatable. Oh my god. Like where do you find the time when you've got like art project after art project you want to make to read and enjoy comics? I still try to make time to like to watch superhero movies and read my comics my friends are making, but like it's like time, even like as a full-time artist, is really hard to find.
Yeah. Well, like I have no problem watching too much TV, like movies and TV. You know, I have no
It's a
problem
great way
doing
to
that.
rest your arms.
Yeah, yeah. Um, but reading is something else. Like, you know, it's like I read a lot of stuff online, but it's mostly, you know, checking up on friends or what other artists are up to and posts and whatnot, that sort of thing. Oh, there's somebody in chat. Hey, Corey, welcome. Good to see you, buddy.
Hello.
Um, and Charles Reeves, welcome, welcome.
Hey, how's it going?
And he says, "What up? What up? I think live drawing our sketches is going to keep it alive. Much respect to all that does it. Absolutely.
Appreciate those words.
Yeah.
Oh, I
I like
love
reading manga over watching anime. There you go.
like when I was young, I watched all the cartoons because I was very passionate and serious about learning to create comics, and I collected a lot of manga. I watched a lot of anime, and I collected a lot of Western comics, like superhero comics, independent comics. And so I am a huge anime and manga fan, and I think that kind of influences my art style in a bit. It's like a combination of uh, Western and Eastern cartooning,
Right.
and so there's a lot of both sides in my artwork.
Yeah, I love looking at all kinds of, you know, all the continents. You know, it's like different Eastern comics, Western comics, and everything in between. You know, you pick up different things from different influences.
Oh,
Um,
definitely.
and it definitely, like, you know, leaks into your work for sure. What kind of manga were you into?
Oh, I love the psychological thrillers. I'm really into horror. I liked some of the first ones I watched were Akira, Robot Carnival. I watched Battle Angel Alita back when it like probably when I was too young for it, but really into anime and really serious about learning comics. And I watched Evangelion,
Yeah,
and and then that just opened me up to a series like Full Metal Alchemist, which was
right.
really really good to watch right before bedtime, so it'd keep you up all night thinking. And
Yeah, you know, it's like Akira was like, I don't know if it was the first manga I was aware of. It was either that or Ghost in the Shell. Both of those were amazing at the time, you know,
oh,
back in
Ghost
the
in the
day.
Shell, it's really good, yeah.
Yeah. Um, but I watched Evangelion. That's some crazy stuff, like
Oh
mind
yeah, it was trippy.
altering. um, but yeah, it's like the subtleties of storytelling you know, are different from like American comics, and their pacing is different. Um, and I see it leak into my work, even though it's like not surface noticeable. Um, I do tend to pace stories out differently than American comics, and I love like where manga. Well, a lot of stories are like sort of slower builds, and you know, find that interesting.
Definitely like oh, we've got a question. I feel
Yeah,
like manga is and comics is more true to the original character ideas. A lot changes when it goes to cartoon or anime, like censorship stuff or weird changes. I heard Akira is very different. Oh yeah, I agree, Corey Barton. I
yep,
I got a lot of my stuff imported so I could avoid the censorship problems. I was always like a bit of a computer nerd and searching around online for getting Japanese imports to get my manga. And so I've got huge bookshelves of a lot of stuff I can't even read, but it's
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I love to learn kanji, but yeah, I've got a lot of imported comics because I was aware of the censorship problems.
I definitely remember back in the 90s when it sort of first stormed the U.S. There was a Japanese manga store in Manhattan, originally from New York. And we used to go there and look at stuff. But yeah, you couldn't read it.
Yeah, it's cool because like comics is a very visual storytelling medium, so you don't always need to have to be able to read it in order to
Right.
understand what's going on in the story, which is why I like graphic novels and visual and sequential art storytelling as a method of storytelling.
Yeah. So what Western comics were you into?
Well, my Western influences were very much Bruce Timm and Paul Dini. That's what got me into the idea that I was going to study and research how to become a comic artist. I am a huge fan of Mike Allred
Yeah,
and
love his work.
his creative team with his wife who does the
Yeah,
colors. And
yeah.
I'm having a brain fart moment remembering names right now.
Well, he did Madman. I love Madman.
I
That was
got
a great.
into his comics because of when they started working on the X Force series that became X
Right.
Fanatics.
Yeah.
I remember being like totally blown away by the artwork and becoming pretty obsessed with it, and just collecting up every one of his comics I could. I always get really into collecting the works of favorite creators over favorite characters.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Like, I'm drawn to the art first. So it's like I never considered myself a comic collector. I consider myself an art collector. you know, I
Exactly.
follow.
It's about
Yeah.
art collecting. That's why I do it too. It's even cooler when you're collecting the artwork of your friends. It's like it gives it so much sentimental value.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So that's what's been incredible about being on Twitter. It's like I can pay my friends directly for their art and collect their artwork, which feels
Yeah.
phenomenal.
Yeah. So true. So I'm curious. So there's that kind of new feature on Twitter. Since you're such a fan of Twitter, they have groups. Do you use that at all?
The Twitter circles. I
Yeah,
selected some
whatever it's called.
people. I picked out members of my found family I trust to know about my family life, my biological family life, and I'm like
Uh,
sharing that aspect of that on circles, so I can get like a little more. Uh, it's like a lot of my comics creator friends and my friends that make the Sims that are on my Twitter circles and some of the game changers. But
right.
like these are people that I have a long history of socializing with and trust completely because of they pretty much treat me very well, very respectfully, and I'm not worried about sharing more personal aspects of my life with them.
Right. Right. Yeah. Because I dabbled. I think I'm only part of two different um, groups or circles or whatever it's called. One is comic creators and one is YouTubers. Um, if ever I have more time in my life, I'll look more into it.
Oh
Corey
yeah,
says
I'm a little
too.
nervous about oh cool. Corey Barton says I like Twitter too. I think it's great. Yeah, it's highly
Yeah.
addictive. Like all the validation you get as a creator is highly addictive. And so I just go off the rails, posting artwork and writing tweets because of that. And like and all the happy feels I get from sharing about my life on Twitter because of how many people engage with it. It's highly addictive.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like I know there's a lot of haters out there, or people that, oh, it's this or that or whatever. Like,
Oh,
just
I just outright
if it
block
works for you, it works. Yeah.
because like being a queer person, I don't feel like I should need to deal with any haters, and that I
Right.
should just protect myself from them and block them before they do anything damaging to me. And that's part of how I keep myself mentally healthy.
It's like, in real life, if I go to a party, I tend to gravitate towards the people I like or get along with. It's like same things on any social site. It's like I don't stick around with the haters. It's like I don't get into
Exactly.
arguments with people. I don't like. I don't have time for that. Life is too short.
Exactly. You understand. And I find you know, I can get along with pretty much anyone as long as they're kind.
Yeah.
And and I think it's important to create boundaries for yourself to block people that have malicious intent because that's just healthy. And I believe that surrounding yourself with kind, encouraging people is a great way to grow as an artist because that gives you courage to try things with your art that you wouldn't that you normally hesitate about. If you feel encouraged to create, then you're more likely to branch out and do more creative work that most people would feel intimidated by doing. And that's basically what happened when I connected with my muses on Twitter. Was I felt greatly encouraged. They gave me a lot of courage to make something of myself, and it's been incredible.
Yeah. Corey says, I only had to block a few people, and then I never heard from them again. It was great.
Yeah, that's awesome, Corey.
uh, so, have there been any like artistic challenges that you haven't tried yet that you're interested in? Like any
It,
tools or
tools
mediums?
I haven't tried yet. Oils. I I have a hard time with oils. I do not like oils, but it's
Yeah, I
something
don't like
I
that.
want to learn every tool. So it's just a matter of right now I'm short on space but like eventually I'd like to get a setup so I can start painting again. And I'd like to like improve my patience for oils because it takes a long time for them to dry.
Yeah.
And I like fast results. I'm a speed artist, as you've seen.
All right.
And
Yeah.
so I'd like to improve my patience for something like oils.
I I've seen a few people work with oils, and yeah, it never interests me. It takes too long to dry. It smells really horrible. It's poison in the air.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The struggles of artists.
I
Slowly
mean,
getting
it's great for those that are into it.
yeah, it can be
I've
highly lucrative.
I've dabbled a little bit with like watercolor or acrylics. I love both of those. And
Watercolor impresses me because it's hard to control.
it is, but you can get the hang of it like anything.
Yeah, with practice like that.
So I've dabbled as I always say, like, I'm going to paint when I retire doing this for a living.
love sketching because it's not messy, and that's why I like pencils. It's like the least messy art tool, and like digital is even less messy than pencils.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
have OCD, so I
yeah.
think that
I
helps
think
the obsession of drawing over and over again to feel better.
I think all artists, at least artists I know, are obsessive in some way or another.
It definitely helps.
Yeah,
It helps that never give up attitude.
you gotta be crazy doing this. So, so you said you use Procreate on the iPad to color and stuff. Um, how did you learn? Like, did you just mess around with it, or did you?
So what happened was I was formally trained at Ringling College to use Adobe Photoshop, which has like a similar
Okay.
layers setup.
Right.
And that was back in the 90s. Because, oh my God, I'm old. And like, and so like that started me on doing digital art. And so I went on, and like for a while I was using a stylus on a game system. The Nintendo DS had a game called Art Academy, and so I draw all these digital art pieces with the stylus using, and they had the grid tool to make your proportions good. And so it was an easy adaptation to, I like in 2018 I researched what would be a good screen based digital art tablet, and iPad Pro and Apple Pencil came up. And so I used to, when I was living in Florida, I used to live near an Apple store. So I went down there, and they have their Genius Bar, and they like show you the basics of how to use new programs like Procreate. And so I figured out the main functions that way. And then I just started practicing digital art. And then I took additional classes. And one of my friends, Patrick Parnell, who's like a childhood friend who's an indie comic creator, taught one of my classes and taught me how to get like a strong comic style. And then it's basically been practice and posting ever since.
Nice.
So it's cool when one of your like your friends of your youth also becomes a comic creator, and then teaches you the ropes on making comics. I think that was like an awesome thing to happen. But like I went to an art focused high school, and I became friends with a lot of artists that way. And then after that I went to Ringling, and then I I just focused on creating art all my life, and yeah, that's basically how I ended up where I ended up.
Yeah, it's like I know how I learn best, and it's kind of by trial and error. Because I am kind of at this point in time in my career, I'm kind of very opinionated about how I want to do things. So I'm not always so open to learning somebody else's methods or ways. Like, don't tell me how you do it. Just tell me how it's done, kind of thing. Um,
Oh yeah, if you get set in your methods, it's understandable.
yeah. But
Especially if your methods work for you.
yeah, well, like I've been inking for over 30 years, but
Oh, congratulations. That's awesome.
thanks. But I am, looking to really open it up because I want to be doing my own books, essentially everything but the lettering and sort of book production. Like I'll get people to do that, but I'll be penciling, inking, coloring, and that sort of thing. And I have my because my work has been colored for years and years and years, I have very strong opinions about how it should be done.
Oh yeah, because like I don't know if it's just me that feels this way, but your art kind of feels like your baby that you want to look after, and I'm sure there's like the challenges of being in an art team, some like working on art with other
Yeah.
people that you don't want them to you have opinions because you have a vision for how you want to see your artwork, basically.
Right. So Corey asks if it's possible if we could show some of your art here.
Oh yeah, it's totally possible. Check this out. This is a t-shirt I created of this is my version of the Norse goddess Hel, and I made her kind of a biker skeleton chick. And I'm really into Norse mythology, and this is I've got my art as tattoos. Let's see if I can. There, that's Pipsy Pinwheel. She's my muse. She's a sword swallowing clown that travels the Renaissance festivals and sticks stuff up her nose for entertainment. And let's see, this one is, and these are me and my muses as Sims, and this one up here is me as a Sim. And I did this Bride of Frankenstein because of being inspired by the Penny Dreadful series and feeling like, oh, I'm totally like the Bride of Frankenstein. and so yeah, those are some examples. I make jewelry, and this is a little pendant I made of me and my creative partner hugging.
Ah, nice. Very cool.
And basically I have like, there's some tattoos I can't show on video because they're under clothes, but I basically have like 12 tattoos.
Right. That's awesome.
Here's my cat that really wants to be on camera.
That's awesome. Yes. So yeah, and you know, you're on Twitter and Instagram. Just type in your name, you can find. I'll put your links down below afterwards.
Oh, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. So anybody can go check out your work, follow along your artistic journey, all that.
I'm loving all the detail you're putting into that piece. It's like living vicariously through your inking.
Thanks. Yeah, you know, life has been challenging of late, and I specifically got you on because I would forget myself. Like, I've been trying to get back to work. Like, I've been not working for a month, like actual artwork. Because, you know, I had some tragedy happen recently, and
oh yeah, I'm my sympathies about that. When I saw the post, I started crying because I know it's a hard thing to go through.
Yeah, and so I've been struggling with that, and you know, I've been busy but not actually doing art. So just trying to push myself back into it, because you know, like, she was a big supporter on what I'm doing, and love my work and all that jazz.
Yeah, it's very hard and heartbreaking.
Yeah, she was too young, but yeah, you know, life goes on, as they say, and just trying to get back on track and get back to work. And you know, I want to. We tried recently. So this is a friend of mine wrote wrote and created this. It's a 5-issue miniseries. It's called Designated. We tried to get it crowdfunded, but didn't happen. But we will be going again at some point. Maybe in October. We're not 100% sure yet, but it's just timing of everything. Like, he had to drop out because his landlord had work to do on the house, and I dropped out because I just was mentally not there anymore. But it's regardless. This is my passion. This is my drive. And it is good getting back into my rhythm.
Oh yeah. And like I know like talking to friends is a lot of what inspires me to draw and gets me energetic and enthusiastic about sketching. And I'm a big appreciator of stuff like platonic love as a way to work up the energy to sketch. And it's nice learning from my friends that they appreciate how much I care about their support, and the fact that I have like a found family at all, which is something I never expected as a queer individual, that I could have a family, even though my identity means I cannot have children. And so it's been largely my group of friends that support and encourage me that make all my art possible, because I finally have the energy to actually do something like make sequential art, which takes a lot of time and energy.
Yeah, it's art is really very close to your mental state, and one affects the other. But I don't feel myself unless I'm doing it. It's like,
Yeah.
After a long hard day of working, and I've had long days, I feel great and satisfied and whole.
Yeah, I totally understand the feeling of wholeness that comes with sketching.
Yeah. And and it's like, it's not for everyone, and different people have different things, but it's definitely what gives me life, and makes me want to push harder, and like I said, learn more and grow and share and all that.
I think it's very human to want to make things.
I like making a mess too.
That too. I like. My life is chaos and my life is a mess, but I like to make things, and I think that kind of goes
together. Absolutely.
I am not an expert on organization. I never was.
I am kind of a neat freak, although, like, I could be doing a better job at it, but I'm not the I'm not the extreme case of being a clean freak. To me, there's a difference. It's like being a clean freak is just too much work. I just keep things organized to a degree.
It probably helps you take better care of your artwork. Something I'm terrible at. I'm just like, I feel like the need to sell my art so someone else can take better care of my artwork than I do.
Yeah, well, it's like I know I tend to every once in a while go through like my shelves and bookcases and uh, sort of clear out stuff I'll no longer want or will never get around to reading or stuff. It's like I need to do another round in it. It's like I think I mentioned I was doing a little cleaning of my studio. I'm just trying to get it more organized. I've been trying to sell some artwork recently and sold a few pieces. Um, I really don't want any of my old work around. It's like I want to get rid of it all so I can have room and space, both
For new work.
physically and mentally, for new work. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because
So I
artwork
can,
takes up a lot of space once you accumulate it. It's understandable.
yeah. So we've been talking. What is it? 46 minutes. We can, you know. Is there anything we haven't talked about, mentioned that you want to get into?
Oh yeah. I was curious if you prefer figures or backgrounds.
Well, very, very early in my career, you know, I was doing assisting my brother, so Jimmy. Um, initially I was filling in blacks, and then eventually I was inking backgrounds. I was also doing that for a couple of other inkers, and uh, you know, you don't know you don't have to know the full story, but uh, I believed when I first entered the arena of making comics and being an inker, I knew I sucked as an inker. Like I knew I had things to learn, and so assisting my brothers and others, as well as trying to get any inking gig at the time, going to conventions or comic stores or meeting up with other artists. Um, I tried to work pretty much around the clock. And for the first, I would say 3 or 4 years, I was pretty hardcore in trying to train myself to be a better inker. And that's all the way around to say that really initially I was doing a lot more focused on backgrounds and buildings, cars, guns, you know, trees, grass, ground, scenes, what have you.
Well, I
Uh,
imagine this, like all that detail is how you get so good and so used to it. And like I really struggle with backgrounds because I am not interested in them. And
yeah, well,
I'm more obsessed with people. And so I'm trying to learn to do backgrounds and I'm trying to do more backgrounds, but it's not easy. And I have uh all the respect for people that are good at backgrounds
well,
because they're not.
I always say, like, if you suck at something, or if you just want to improve your skill on something, then you got to face it head on. So
Yeah,
if
exactly.
you want to improve on backgrounds, do backgrounds all the time, or as much as you can do.
Yeah, every chance you get that practice then and you'll get better at it. It gets easier over time the more you do it. So yeah, you got to just confront your fears and do the thing.
That's 100% right. It's like, yeah, you got to think of it as something you fear, so you can think of it as something you can overcome
Yep. That's
and
like the
get
story of my life.
better.
Here I
uh,
am, like all this anxiety trying to confront fear after fear. And I've got like anxiety disorders. So it's like a lot of
right,
that,
right.
a lot of that is me just facing my fears and overcoming each one and every one of them. And a lot of them do have to do with creating artwork.
Yeah. Life is just a series of problems to be solved.
Exactly. That's a good attitude.
And it's like if you don't feel that way, then you're just in denial.
Oh yeah.
um, but yeah, it's like art isn't easy, or it isn't always easy, and it's like I want a pencil, and even though I know I'm a certain level of capability, I know I'm far from where I wish to be. So I'm throwing myself into, I'll be drawing my own book eventually. Like I had an artist initially, a penciler, for my book Retro, and he got into painting and illustration. So he was like, I'm just doing the first issue and that's that. I'm like, that's cool, man. That's fine. I feel like he's set up the foundation of themes I want to see, artistically speaking, within my book. So with issue 2 on, I'm going to be penciling as well as, writing and inking and coloring. And, coloring is going to be a challenge too, because I've dabbled throughout the years, but it's more like mentally I could see how things should be colored, but to put it into, actually action and do it is another thing. But it's just important to. I find what holds me back a lot of times, and this is both artistically speaking and sort of maneuvers in your career that you should be doing, is that I think about things too often or too much.
Oh yeah.
And the best thing for me to do is to shut my mind off. Whatever gets me there, if I have to play loud music, if I have to have a podcast going, a distraction,
Oh, I constantly sketch to music. Music is a great way to make your brain focus.
Yeah, exactly. So I find that helps for me. It doesn't alleviate all the pressure, but some of it.
Oh, and I was curious about something. Is it like helping that we're having this conversation while you work? Because, like, when
Yeah.
I am with my creative partner and we're working together as a group, we like to have video chats where we just talk together and work together, and it makes
Yeah.
everything go so much smoother.
Yeah. I've done this a million times with friends, as well as
There we
like
go.
both publicly and privately. I've gathered with other artists and writers and creatives, and yeah, it definitely helps. Like if I tried to sit down earlier and just do this on my own, it wouldn't have been as effective. So it's definitely helped.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love. I always, being someone who always dreamed of creating comics, I always admired teams and wanted to be part of a team. And I think that's kind of what's happening now is I have a team of friends that I talk to and create. Like some of them, like it's like different because I'm a portrait artist, so I don't necessarily work with pencilers, inkers, and colorists and
Right.
writers, but like what happens is like my creative partner is a photographer. Some of my muses model for me, and then we discuss like how we're going to game together with the Sims. And so that's how my creative team basically works is I do sketching and the caption writing, but they work with me in other ways.
Yeah. I mean, really when it comes down to it, is like a lot of the people I connect with and talk with, we're not working on the same project. It's just like, it's more about us as people and how we're traversing the artistic journey. you know.
Exactly, like artists supporting artists.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure.
And that's probably the best thing about all of this, all of becoming a comic creator, is the community support.
Yeah, and it's a lot easier nowadays than when I started. Like the first 10, 15 years was me really just alone 24/7 in the studio. Like, you
Oh
know,
yeah. Yeah,
uh,
that's the beauty of live stream invention and video calls, is there is a solitude aspect of creating artwork and creating in isolation, and having internet brings people together in situations where they're not normally with other people when they're working, and that's what makes working in isolation bearable.
yeah, it's like I always had a dream, and it may never come to reality, but I've worked in studios and studio environments, and with other artists physically there. Um, and I always thought that would be cool to have my own studio going. Um, but I always knew, like, some days I want nothing to do with other people. I just want to do my own work and leave me alone. But some days that you need that sort of influx of sort of new blood to inspire you. Like,
Yeah, exactly. You need a I have okay, so like there's this part of being a portrait artist where I've got situations where I encounter screaming fans because I'm performing in front of them. And that can get pretty intense, having people holler and scream at you in excitement. So
right.
part of the time I go out and draw people and put on a show, and part of the time I just hide away in my lair and work in isolation just to get away from it. And I think a balance between the two is important for sanity.
Yeah, and it's like sometimes it's great to connect with other artists, and sometimes it's like they're all crazy. I just want to get work done.
Yeah. It's like, at least like the nice thing about talking to other artists is you don't get the screaming.
Yeah,
Sometimes like I'm still such a fan, like I'm a huge fangirl for comics, and that's why I make comics, but I still know how to talk to artists like they're people.
yeah, yeah, totally. Uh, yeah. I mean, I enjoy just hanging out with artists, and to hear their challenges and their how they structure their day and all these different things. It will always fascinate me how others do it, and.
Oh, definitely. It's cool to find out, like how, like, what's your technique, what's your method, and you can always learn from that without directly actually being taught. You can uh, be influenced and inspired by people just by watching them work,
Yeah, yeah.
and that's
Um,
that's actually why I do watch a lot of creator streams, is because I like to learn from it and see how I can incorporate their expertise and grow my skill with it. And so
yeah,
that's what's cool about being part of this.
yeah, and it's like, I mean, there's I I never, I don't think I ever may have had a short video once or twice on Twitter, but there are people who like have videos on Twitter, um, also Instagram. Mostly I've gone to YouTube, to follow other creators and watch them work and watch them talk about how they do things and so forth and their techniques and whatnot. It's definitely like, what I'll be doing to learn Procreate better is there's plenty of how-to videos or just people doing their own thing on it. And
yeah, I can give you a quick coloring Procreate tip. Is
sure.
I like to put a coloring layer behind the line work and
So
do like a layer of transparent lines for the inks and do the color behind it so I don't paint over the inks when I'm coloring. So that's just a quick.
There you go. Yeah. I think I've seen something like that happen. I watched a lot of another program I have is Clip Studio Paint or Paint Studio or whatever it's called, where that's specifically made for comic creators.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and it's all about the layers and how different people have that sort of back layer. I don't know any actual terms. I just make stuff up.
Layer glue is the term. So you sound like you know what you're saying.
as long as I know what I'm saying.
Just think of it like our lasagna has got layers.
Yeah.
Like a layer cake.
But I'll be learning and training a lot of with Procreate, and also I'm going to switch between programs, I think, to get the best of both worlds.
Oh, I highly recommend doing that.
Yeah.
And
I'm excited.
Each program.
I'm excited to dive into coloring. After years of it's okay, like watching other people color my work, it's like now I get to do it. And if I screw it up, it's okay.
And also, it gives you that satisfying creator control.
Yeah, and I know a lot of artists like myself who pretty much we want the control. we want the last.
We like making our decisions.
Yeah. Absolutely.
All right. I think we just went over an hour, so.
Yeah. So if you want to give people where they can find you online,
you can. My Instagram is Coffee Fueled Art, all one word, because I am very motivated by coffee.
Me too.
And my Twitter handle is my name handle here, Claire V. Gray. And that's basically where you can follow my comics. They are free to read. And I basically do business by advertising my art with free comics and selling commissions.
Awesome. Well, very nice talking with you today.
Very nice talking to you, friend. It's been phenomenal.
Oh, thanks. And thanks everybody for watching. Those that joined us in the chat and those that will be watching afterwards, thank you so much. Give the video a like, subscribe if you haven't, all that jazz. And I'll see you again next time. And of course, I